Hey there, my name is Gary Revis. You don't know who I am. I am I'm a CDH player. I've been playing CDH probably for 6 months, pre-ban, pre-dockside ban. JLo, Mana Crypt, the big ban, the Great Change, and I am somebody that's been like jumping between decks a lot over the past year and a half. I was playing Up Nextless, and I stuck to the deck for a while up until the bans happened, and then Dockside made. I mean, Dockside made a whole lot of different decks a lot worse. But then there was like the JLo as well, which makes Up Nextless get hard to cast and stuff like that. So I switched off the deck, and yeah, I haven't found like a home basically since then until until probably about 6 months ago or so. 6 months ago, I really, really, really wanted to play. 6 months ago, I think Lamora made that video about Semi Blue, and Semi Blue was a deck where you would find Cradle, and then you'd have cast this big spell that would cascade, and then you would run through your deck, and then cast a cascade spell, and then you would cast a cascade spell, and you would just kind of keep going through its thing, and basically cast a bunch of free spells because all of them would like untap your Cradle, which made things free, and then you're able to keep going off and storming off. And I think it was a really cool idea and a really cool deck. I never actually played it because I didn't really believe in it, just like how everybody was talking about it and playing it. I played a different list. Uh, I played a Dogthras list that was around the idea of really trying to go fast. So like you'll like play all your dorks out, maybe Yoshimaru, and then you'll play your thing to find Cradle, and then turn three you would like cast Thrasios and try to spin Thrasios to find an untapper of some sort, like a Cloud of Fairies, and then you would use a Cloud of Fairies, keep going, and looking off top. The problem with the list that I didn't like was that it didn't seem incredibly consistent. There was no there's not a lot of ways to interact with the table. If somebody was kind of going for a win, I'm sitting there, my hands crossed, and everybody's like, you're a blue deck. Where's your interaction? And I'm like, I took all the interaction out because I want this to keep going. And I really didn't like that feeling of the deck. So I moved over. I moved that list and I tried to push it onto, or a buddy of mine had talked to me and he was thinking about it. And I was like, yeah, I think I'm just gonna play Waffle Kinnan, man. I think I'm just gonna play like no bad cards Kinnan. And he was like, wait, have you ever thought about turning your turning your dog thrash list into Kinnan? And I thought about it, and then I thought that it was a cool thing because you can then, um, instead of looking essentially at the top two cards of the deck, uh, with Thrasios, whenever because you're scrying one and then you're revealing the other one, you're looking at the top five cards with Kinnan and then picking one from it and then putting it on the battlefield. Uh, I really like the idea. I really, after he said it, I like really convinced myself on the idea, and I think it's a really, really strong basis for a deck, and I think it's really good. I've been playing this deck. I only recently came back on the list, maybe a month ago, but I first brewed this list in October of last year, and it's a deck that I really believe in. I think that it can be pushed further. So let's see. There are a couple bullet points that I'm trying to hit because I don't make videos or anything like that. Um, so why play Kinnan? First of all, you already probably already know Kinnan. Kinnan is a mana battery, Simic, blue green. Whenever you tap into a permanent for mana, add one mana of any type that permanent produced. So then your mana dorks, all of your mana rocks are producing an extra mana, and like it's basically giving you double the value out of your things, which is really really cool. And it helps you produce a lot more, get a lot more value out of your game because you have more mana to spend to cast your spells and things like that. The deck is very good. Its ability says for 5, a green and a white and a blue. You can look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a non-human creature card from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest on the bottom of the order. And this is where the juice lies. Being able to look at the top 5 cards instead of the top 2, and also not having to cast the card and it just entering the battlefield is a huge, huge game changer and a huge selling point for the deck for me. Why play this version of Kinnan? Yeah, usual lists, if you don't know, are either on Big Flip's Kinnan, which is the higher list, as people call it, which is a very creature-based list where you flip Kinnan, you get value. I don't know how it works. I think it's on a Makla. I don't know how the list looks or what it does. It works off of Colossal Sky Turtle. I don't know. I don't know how the deck works. I'm not a very good CDH player. But and then there's like the Waffle Kinnan, which is all about accruing value, and you are having a ton of engines and a ton of copies, and all you do is sit there and Kinnan does all the work for producing mana for you, and so you'll be able to cast all your creatures, all your mana dorks, and then all of your your Soul Ring boxes, stuff like that, your fast mana, and then get even more mana because they tap for 2 instead of 1 most of the time. And with that, you're able to just like snowball your games out of control. I think Kinnan is the best mid-range deck. If you're playing, if you're playing the Waffle list, I think it's the best mid-range deck. And then it runs a bunch of things. It has your Ristic, your Mystic Remora. It's got a couple other draw mechanics, draw engines, and then has a lot of ways to copy other people's draw engines or Smothering Tithe or something else. So you're constantly accruing value, and if they try to get ahead, you're like, oh, sweet, thanks for that. And then you slam your Mirror Maid, and then you copy their value engine, and then you snowball out of control because you produce so much more mana than everybody else, but have the same amount of like engines or card value. So I think that list is very cool. I think it's very, very good. I think it's the best deck in the format, to be honest. So I play this version. If you really want to play like a Cradle deck, obviously there are Cradle decks. This is like a deck that's kind of like Rogthras and Yoshimaru Thrasios, where you want to keep building your Cradle count and tapping and untapping Cradle over and over and over again. I think this deck just generally does it a little bit faster than the Rogthras list, especially the Dogthras list. I think Dogthras is more of like accrue value, more value, and wants the more mid-range pivot than Rogthras does, and I think that this deck does a lot less of the value thing and a lot more of the turbo Cradle thing. So if you want to play a Cradle game plan, you want to play this deck. If you want to play Kinnan, where you have just like a ton of mana, you have a mana battery like in the command zone. You're sitting there and you're flipping, and it's really fun. And I think it's really fun to manually storm. Hot take. I love manual storming. I think it's very fun. It's very exciting for me to not know whether or not I'm actually going to get there. So if you want a deck that also manually storms, you're gonna keep flipping Kinnan and flipping Kinnan, flipping Kinnan, and then like seeing if you get there. And then also it's got a bunch of like funky stuff, a lot of funky creatures that you'll probably not see in other decks. but it also keeps its interaction package. You are by no means you're by no means table police or anything like that. You just have an interaction package. Like you're a lot like the farm lists where like, except I think farm has more interaction than you do, but you're a lot like them to where like you only want to use it if it is like the win attempt, but you are able to hold that interaction in your hand. It doesn't play. It doesn't play a mid-range game plan. It can play a mid-range game plan. It pivots decently if you're not able to find a win. It's very resilient. It's it's a deck that I really truly believe can get pushed to the next limits. I just don't know if I'm exactly the player to do so. Um, I have played it in this local league thing on Monday nights. The the player pool is not very great. That's not true. I think a lot of the players there are pretty all right. But I made top pod this season, and I play that on next Monday. But this deck has really gotten me there and got me the points I needed to actually get to that point. Um, and I want to start taking it to tournaments. I want to start making maybe videos on keeping updated with all the changes that I make and all the progression that I'm making with the deck, and taking it to tournaments and give like tournament results and feedback on it. Um, but I really do believe in this deck, and I think that this game plan. I mean, I don't know. I'm no genius. I think Wafflekin is probably the best deck in the game. But I think this deck has a lot of fun, and that's like the most important part to me, is that I'm having a lot of fun playing it, and like it doesn't feel like it's a bad deck. Um, I don't feel like I'm getting held back by the cards in the deck. It's like I'm getting held back by my mulligan or like my decision making or things like that, and I really like that about the deck. Um, what makes this the best deck to play of this variant? I think it does things faster. I think Rock Fast is very fast. I think this deck consistently hits turn three wins like all the time. Um, just very consistent turn three wins, if not turn four. The game plan of it really is turn one, play some dorks or cast Kinnan. Turn two, cast Kinnan or play a card that finds Cradle, which there are a lot in the deck. And then turn three, uh, go off. And I think it's a deck that's really hard to interact with. I think this is a lot harder to interact with than Rock Thrass is. Rock Thrass, obviously, like they just accumulate a ton of value, and you don't know like when you're supposed to stop it, which is a thing. I think this deck is like it tricks a lot of people. Right now, nobody knows what I'm on. They don't know what to expect out of the deck, so it tricks a lot of people, and they're like, oh, it's Kinnan, and so they think, oh, I'm gonna play all these dorks, and then they're gonna get a value piece, and then I'm gonna start going off, and then like really with Kinnan, with those lists, flipping Kinnan is like kind of a last resort. You really don't want to do it. So then when they see me want to flip my Kinnan and start trying to storm off, they're like, oh, okay, this guy's got a bad hand or something. Like he has nothing else to do besides flip Kinnan. But really, that's like our entire game plan. And because you're flipping, um, you're not casting anything, so it doesn't trigger your Ristic Studies, your Mystic Remoras, your well, it's only creatures that are getting flipped off, but you don't trigger your Ristic Studies when you're storming off. You hardly trigger Mystic Remoras ever, or Ristic Studies ever. So no counterspell really works on you. Uh, I guess you can get like Trick Binded or something. I don't know. And that kind of sucks. You just kind of sit there and twiddle your thumbs for the next turn rotation. I think that removal spells are very, very, very strong against this deck, but I don't think people are going to realize that they have to remove Kinnan until it's already too late. And that happens a lot, where like you don't know if you're in danger or not. Opponents don't know if they're in danger or not. I don't know if I'm going to really get a lot of value off my flip or not. So I'm just going and going and going. Um, the deck is really hard to interact with. Bounce spells, kill spells are its main weak point, and I guess things like Beseju and Sowing Mycospawn if you're against another like rock side player, or a if you entwine a Reap and Sow. Again, if rock, I don't even rock thrash players right on that, but if Reap and Sow, I'm on it, and I think if you entwine it and then they kill your Cradle, it makes your game plan really hard. Now, what I like about the deck is that you don't actually need Cradle to win the game. It helps a lot, and that's what your deck's kind of built around. But there are other win lines in the deck. You can find your infinite mana. You can find your outlet. You can do all of those other things to stomp the table. And I've won plenty of games where either my Kinnan, like my Kinnan gets Talon Gazed, and then I'm able to keep storming off and I win. My my Cradle gets Beseju'd, or it gets exiled off the top because the Atali flip just hit it just right. I've been able to win in those situations. I mean, it's still running decent things. It's running like all of your normal Kinnan things. You're on Basalt Monolith. You're on Mirage Mirror. You're on that's not a normal Kinnan thing, but you're on your Hold Breaker Horror. Hold Breaker Horror can you keep bouncing things over and over again until you make infinite mana and really just go off there. Um, I think it's very resilient, and like if you start storming off and say somebody stops you, um, chances are you can absolutely just send it again the next turn. It's very resilient. It reminds me, the other deck that I play is Rocco, and what I really like about Rocco is that like, okay, you're jamming, oh, you get stopped, just go again the next turn. Like it doesn't stop me from doing anything. I can just keep going and going and going and going. Um, and then usually whenever you're flipping and like you miss, you don't hit like a clone, or you don't hit like a Cloud of Fairies on type of Cradle, or your Peregrine Drake to untap your Cradle, and then you get your Nezahal instead, or you get your Consecrated Sphinx instead. It's never bad. There's sometimes where you flip and you get like a Mana Dork or something, but that's basically worst case. I've never flipped and actually hit nothing. Um, but there's a lot of good options here, a lot of good hits that you find. You're on 33 creatures. You you want to hit a lot of them. I mean, you have one, two, three, four, five creatures. I guess six, but that was very good. Uh, Six creatures here, where like if you flip and that's the only thing you hit, it's kind of dead. Um, but everything else is a hit. Oh, Sowing Microspawn too, actually. I haven't heard anything about that. But I'm here to now. I didn't write anything besides that, besides what the conversation we just had. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about the deck list and like the choices that I've made in the deck, and the things that I want to build the deck around, and I guess the reasoning for the cards. Um, I have it sorted by mana cost, so we'll start from mana cost. Birds of Paradise, Elvis, these five you already know. I'm playing Kinnan. I'm playing a green deck. I want as much ramp as I can to get to that first flip. These cards are going to get me there. They tap for two with Kinnan out. Helps me get Kinnan out on turn two. Things are good. Biomancer's Familiar makes my flips cost two less. Two extra mana saved every single time that I flip is really good. It's just fuel for the next flip. Very good. Cloud of Fairies is an untapper. Will ETB untap up to two lands. There's a lot of times where this is just like the saving grace. You gotta find your Cloud of Fairies. Cloud of Fairies is really good. It's the cheapest one of your untappers that you have. Uh, Cloud of Fairies is, I mean, probably the most hit untapper that we have. It's 1/1, so it's very fragile, but it'll probably get you there. There's Fairy Mastermind. Fairy Mastermind is in the deck. uh, the thing that other people have where it's like It's a card draw engine, sure, but it's really here because it's infinite mana outlet. It's your win con. One of your win cons is using Fair Mastermind, putting Fair Mastermind, having everybody draw their decks, casting Green Sun Zenith. After you get High Fate Trickster out or something, so that you can cast it instant speed. Put on your Green Sun Zenith so you can shuffle your Green Sun Zenith, or you fail to find, shuffle Green Sun Zenith back in your deck, activate Cloud of Fairies, put a draw trigger on the stack, draw your Green Sun Zenith, cast your Green Sun Zenith. So essentially, you are drawing Green Sun Zenith over and over and over again, while your opponents are drawing their entire decks, and then they lose because they draw from an empty deck. Very cool loop. Flesh Duplicate, low mana, good clone. Good clones for all the other untappers that you really want to hit, or the Nyx Blue Mansions, or the Horror Horrors, or any of the big value creatures that you want to hit. Flesh Duplicate's huge. It's very, very good. Also, good cloner for other people's stuff. It's very cool because if I ever play against an Atali, I play against Atalis a lot, it's really a 50-50, it feels like. If they cast Atali, I mean, they're hitting a lot of clones. They are hitting a lot of clones. Usually you're able to, the whole interaction, you should mull for interaction against that matchup, and then stop them after they cast Atali. But then after they do that, and then there are Atalis on the board, you're able to keep, put a Kinnan flip on the stack, you get a clone, and then you'll clone their Atali, and then you'll clone, keep going again and again and again and again. And it's really fun. It's a really fun matchup. So, value piece, you can grab other people's value pieces if it's like in hand and you don't have anything else. You don't have another way to keep going. I rarely cast it and not target my own things. And that's a big thing, is that most of the time you just want to target your own things. And that's a big reason for a lot of the other clones that I have in the deck. There's a Boar Breach Caller. Talon Gates, Gaia's Cradle, makes infinite mana. If you're playing green or green-blue Cynic colors, you should know this combo by now. Very, very, very hard to deal with, hard to work around. Deck list also, whenever you're going off and then you hit something that wasn't an untapper, you can always pay the 2 mana, bounce something, untap, Cradle, go again. Very cool. Fimage, another good clone. Same thing as Flesh Duplicate. It's fragile. If it gets targeted, dead. Thrasios is your infinite mana outlet. After you make infinite mana, then you keep flipping Kinnan. You find Thrasios. You find your finale of devastation, and then you win. Another win con, another way to dump your mana into, so that you can actually win the game. Because I don't think there are any creature-only win cons. So you have to cast your spells. Thrasios will let you draw your deck to be able to cast those spells. Elvish Spirit Guide, fast mana. I've considered cutting Elvish Spirit Guide because it is one-time use, and then I feel really bad when I flip into it. You see what I'm saying? I mean, it'll get me there for maybe the first flip if I really, really need it, or if I really, really need it for I need the green mana to cast my second mana dork turn 1. This helps a lot. This helps me get there. It's kind of in a weird spot. I'm thinking about cutting it. I don't know for sure. Enduring Vitality. Whenever you keep flipping, and you keep flipping, and you keep flipping, and then you have the next thing you know, if you have 15 creatures on the board, and then you hit Enduring Vitality. That's pretty good. It's pretty good. Taps for 2. All the creatures tap for 2 blue. If they're not summoning sig. Each of them tap for 2 blue, and this deck really has a hard time with blue, finding a blue mana source. So Enduring Vitality is really, really good in the deck. Glasspool Mimic. You might be wondering why I'm on a MDFC that comes in tapped. And that's just because it's front side. Glasspool Mimic is a cloner. It clones creatures that I control. So worse than Flesh Duplicate, but it's an MDFC. If I really, really, really need the blue mana, I'm on turn 3, 4, 5, and I'm like, cast this, comes untapped. That really sucks, but it is what it is. Another cloner, mirror image, another cloner that comes into the battlefield, copying something that I have. Pestermite. Pestermite is a 2/1. Has flash flying. Pestermite enters battlefield untap target permanent. It is a Cradle untapper at instant speed. It doesn't matter that's not that it's at instant speed. No, I don't think so. I think there's a lot of things that are in the deck that I need to kind of think about, but as of right now, I don't have another untapper to put in its place. So, and I don't think that taking this out for more clones is the correct answer, because there's a lot of times that the Pestermine will get me there because I need the untapper to clone in the first place. And then there's, I mean, it's just good. I think it's very good. Flash somebody else. There's another Thrasios list that's on the Cradle plan, and then you can like flash this in on their upkeep, and then they have to tap it makes them ETB target tap the Cradle, then they play the game with their turn with the tap Cradle. It's pretty good. Uh, Very niche situations like that for interaction. I'm never using it for interaction. For the most part, I'm just using it to untap my Cradle because you're greedy, and that's what you want to do. Clever Impersonator, copy your non-land permanent on the battlefield. Copy your non-land permanent on the battlefield. Yeah, I mean, good cloner. Good cloner. 4-drop cloner. It is it can cover you where you know that you can't keep going off, and somebody else has a Ristic out. It'll become the Ristic study so that you can just send it again the next turn, and then have like actually a full grip in hand while you're sending it the next turn. It's really good. Really good 4-drop. It not hitting only creatures is really strong. Most of the time you want to hit creatures, but like this is the moment where, okay, I'm playing a Kinnan deck. There's a Tithe out. Here's a Clever Impersonator. I can Clever Impersonator a Tithe, and the next thing you know, I'm doing the next thing at 1,000,000 mana. Because I have so many treasures. Very good card. Displacer Kitten. Displacer Kitten is a card that I thought that I didn't want to keep in the deck. Displacer Kitten, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, exile up to 1 target non-land permanent you control, then return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control. I really don't know what to do with this card. It's won me maybe 2 or 3 games, but I feel like in theory, in my brain, it doesn't really make sense in this deck. And if you're curious as to why, is because I don't have a lot of card draw. This deck wins with no cards in hand, and so I don't have there's a lot of the times where I don't have the non-creature spell in hand to be able to cast, to be able to do the flicker on the on whatever is on the battlefield, like flicker on the Palicron or the Great Whale or the Cloud Fairies, so you can keep going off. There's so many times where like I just don't have that. But it has won me a game before where I had a Flesh Eagle Kit and it was an Atali, and the Atali trigger went off, and then I had Displacer Kitten, and then you just go off there. But that was mainly because I had Atali out. And in other games, it's been the time where I've had one or 2 cards in hand, and one of them happens to be a card that I can cast. That's a non-creature card, and then it flickers my Great Will, and I'm able to go off and win. It's won me games, but it's in the same fashion of like I just don't really have a lot of cards in hand. So Displacer Kitten, so I'm not able to trigger Displacer Kitten a whole lot, and I don't really know how to feel about the card. I think I'm gonna cut it. I think that there are other things that are better for that spot, and I think actually I might cut that card for a Heartwood Storyteller, maybe. And then if I put Heartwood in, there's the conversation of, okay, now you have more card draw in the deck because you have Heartwood in the deck, and so you have cards to trigger Kitten. So it's very, very weird of a spot. Maybe I'll think about it. I got more thinking and testing to do. because I do like the idea of Heartwood Storyteller, and I think it's a good card. High Trickster. It's a non-human way to find my instant speed, turn on my instant speed stuff. I'm not on Valley Flood Color actually because I think High Trickster is just way better. I'm not casting it. It's more mana, but I'm not casting High Fate Trickster. I'm usually flipping into it so that I have my instant speed, just in case I need it for anything else in the deck where I'm going through my Fairy Mastermind loop, or I am going through somebody stops my Fairy Mastermind loop and it's like stuck in the stack, and then I cast my Finale or something, vice versa. Lets me instant speed cast my creatures that are in hand because I drew my deck, to trigger my Hullbreaker, to bounce people's interaction off the stack. Very, very good. It activates a lot of stuff, and I was thinking about whether or not I needed this in the deck at all, because I was like, I don't know if I need the flash speed at all because I'm doing things with activated abilities most of the time. But yeah, it's come in handy. I mean, more than a handful of times. I think High Jinx is a really good card of the deck, and especially if I'm not on Valley Flood Color for my Hullbreaker stuff, it's definitely be on High Trickster. I'm not. Like I said, I'm not casting it anyways, so the mana value and the difference doesn't matter. I'm on a very big creature package anyways. Phyrexian Metamorph. Good clone. If you're running clones, you're running Phyrexian Metamorph. Being able to cast for 3 colors and a Phyrexian, pretty good. Copy an artifact or creature on the battlefield. This lets me copy somebody else's, I don't know, Mana Vault, or Assault Monolith, or Grim Monolith, or something of the sort, Grim Monolith doesn't go infinite with me, but I know other people run Grim Monolith, and if this comes in as Grim Monolith, and then I have my Nyx Plumation out, that's my infinite mana outlet. That's my infinite mana. So, Phyrexian Metamorph, really good. It's an auto-include for clones. So Microspawn, 4 mana. It's a way to find my Cradle. It is not interactable because finding Cradle is a on cast trigger. It is not an ETB trigger. It does not have to resolve at all. They can counter off the stack, and the on cast trigger to go find my Cradle is still there, which is really good. Very hard to interact with. Cradle Finder, great card. Feels really bad when I flip into it, but other than that, like when I get it, if I found my Cradle, great card. Because it also adds 1 to my Cradle count, so it's awesome. Peregrine Drake. This is one of the first big untappers that we have. Cloud of Fairies untaps 2 lands. Peregrine Drake untaps 5 lands. This is basically all of your lands that you have on the battlefield at any point. I mean, you're not casting a ton of lands. Typically, you're winning on turn 3, so you have two lands and a Cradle, or you have 3 lands and a Cradle. This will hit everything. This will hit all of your lands. This will find you 3 of your blue every time that this ETBs, or 2 of the blue every time this ETBs from untapping your lands, and then also untaps Cradle. Lets you spin again twice, and then you will, with 2 spins, you're pretty guaranteed to find another untapper, or find another value piece, or find another clone, to then clone your Peregrine Drake again, and then you untap another 5 lands, and then you have 2 more flips on the stat that you can go for, and then you go again, and then you go off with it. Seaborn Muse, kind of a bummer to to hit when you're trying to go off, because then you have to. It can really stop you. But chances are, if you spun, you have mana to do it again. And Seaborn Muse is always a good card because you'll be able to go again on somebody else's turn, and this deck can win at instant speed. So once Seaborn's out, you can you untap, go for one flip, 2 flips, win on somebody's stack because you have all of your mana open. Typically, if I have Seaborn out, I'm waiting until that player's end step, or if there's a big stack on top, then I will flip and then try to win on top of the stack. Kinnan's really good at that. In general, they're really good at winning on the stack, but this deck does it in a very different way. Seaborn Muse is a very good card in Kinnan, very good card in Thrastless, untapping Cradles. Very, very disgusting. I don't know people's turns. Consecrated Sphinx, big creature for 6 mana. 6 mana creature. Whenever an opponent draws a card, you may draw 2 cards. This is disgusting. This wins me so many games. If I'm able to flip into it early, if I'm able to flip into it late, it doesn't matter what time of the game it is. If I run into this card off of a flip, it does not get interacted with, which is really hard because it cannot be countered because it is put onto the battlefield with Kinnan. Then I'm 100% winning the game. I'm running away with it. I'm winning the game. Then I get to draw my interaction. I get to draw all my things. I get to draw my high-fi tricks that give me instant speed to then, do all my things. And then Consecrated Sphinx is just disgusting. It's one of the best card value engines in the game. I think it's so funny because there'd be a lot of times where, like, I don't know, maybe I get a value engine off or a card draw engine off my flip. And I flip, and I had Consecrated Sphinx, and everybody's like freaking out of the table. They're like, "Oh my god, this is a win! This is a win! This is a win!" I'm like, "No, it's not a win. It's just card draw, guys. Come on." But there's people that try to that react in a way that, like, oh, the game's over once Consecrated Sphinx hits. They're very valid. Consecrated Sphinx does feel like a win con, but does feel greatly like a win con, but it's just a very good card. It's a very good card. They're reacting in the way that they should. Deadeye Navigator. Deadeye Navigator's in the deck. It's 4 and 2 blue. Soul Bond. As long as Deadeye Navigator is paired with another creature, each of those creature has 1 in blue. Exile this creature, then return it to the battlefield under your control. This puts all of my things infinite. All the untappers, not all the untappers, I guess. But it puts my Cloud of Fairies, it puts my Peregrine Drake, my Palinchron, my Great Whale. All of them will be able to make infinite mana with Deadeye Navigator Soulbond to it. Soulbond says whenever this creature enters the battlefield, you may pair it up with another creature, or when another creature enters the battlefield, you may pair this with that creature. So if Deadeye Navigator is on the battlefield and you flipped it, and then you flipped it like on a previous turn, but you weren't able to go off, and then the next turn you flip it to a Cloud of Fairies, and when that hits the battlefield, you are then able to Soul Bond Deadeye Navigator into that creature, to your Cloud of Fairy that you just flipped up, and then you're able to go infinite. Very, 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 very good. Very good card. Yeah, this just gets you your infinite mana. It's really good. Really good card in the deck. Wake Root Elemental. This is one that I got flamed for. I was thinking about running this card in my Dog Thrash list because it is a way to make Cradle make infinite green, and people clown me for it in the Discord, and I think it's way better in this list than it ever would be in the Dog Thrash list because you don't have to cast it. Of course, you're paying 1 extra mana to get it on the battlefield for free. You get it on the battlefield. You're not flipping it and then having to cast it. It's essentially 1 mana less doing it this way. Wake Root Elemental. It's a 5/5 creature that says for 5 green, you may untap target land you control. It becomes a 5/5 elemental creature with haste. It's still a land. When your Cradle count is 5, when Cradle count is 5, and you have this target Cradle, it will untap Cradle and make it a creature. Then your Cradle taps for 6 mana. And then you're able to use that 6 mana, or 5 of that 6 mana, to untap Cradle again with Wake Root Elemental's ability. And keep going from there until you hit infinite green mana. And then after you find your infinite green mana, you're able to then untap your other mana source land, which is probably green, and have it become a creature to then make infinite blue mana, to then cast Kinnan, to keep going, or cast Kinnan, or like keep flipping with Kinnan to find your Thrasios, and then it's a win. This card I I cut in previous versions of the list. Last year I cut it. This year I put it back in just because I wanted to test it out a little bit, and it's won me 3 games by its own, and it's been really really good to me. Uh, what's pretty funny is that this Wake Root Elemental, if you hit it and then you have your Boar Breeze Collar and you're trying to go through uh, that loop, that's about the same. It gives you the extra the extra count to be able to go through either the Obora Breeze Collar loop or the Wake Root Elemental loop. Um, it's pretty good. It's a very good card. Um, yeah, I think there was a situation where I didn't have enough green mana to Wake Root Elemental, and so I had to make Cradle into a land to, and then bounce something with a Boro, and then cast it, and then have another land turn into a creature. So then my Cradle count was high enough. It was a really strange situation, but it's able to get you there. It's very cool. On the next card, another 7 drop. This is our first 7 drop. It's a Great Whale. Great Whale, when it comes into play, ETB, untap of the 7 lands. What's funny is that you don't. It says 7 lands. It doesn't say 7 lands that you control, so you can untap other people's lands if you're. I don't know, hee funny. But Great Whale is the big a big untapper. This will untap all of your lands. There's with Peregrine Drake, there's no way that you're hitting more than 5 lands with Great Whale. There's no way you're there should be no way that you're getting even close to hitting 7 lands. But if you do have 7 lands, you're untapping all of them. And then you have all your blue mana source, and you have all your green mana source. Keep going off of Cradle, keep doing your thing. Hullbreaker Horror, another 7 mana. Big creatures. We're able to run a big creature package because we're not casting any of our spells. We're just flipping into it. Very cool stuff. Hullbreaker Horror. Flash. This spell cannot be countered. Whenever you cast a spell, choose up to 1, return target spell you don't control to its owner's hand, and return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. This card, plus High Fate Trickster, will be your protection from winning the game. Whenever you're actually sending it, you have your infinite mana you're going for. You pull your Thrasios. You want to make sure you kind of have your Hullbreaker or your High Fate Trickster out, because say you're going through the Fairy Mastermind loop, or like you cast Finale of Devastation, and they want to try to counter that Finale of Devastation, you can say flash in your Finhorn Elves, and then you bounce their counter, their probably free counter, back to their hand, or if it costs mana, they may not have the mana to recast it, and so you're able to keep bouncing their interaction back to their hands where they're not able to do anything about it. This is your protection. This also gets you infinite mana if you have the mana source for it, like any of your artifacts. If you find your Lotus Petal, you find your Mox Amber, and Kinnan's out, you can go through an infinite bounce of these two and make one mana every time. Now you bounce Amber, cast Amber, bounce Petal, tap Amber, cast Lotus Petal, bounce Amber. Yeah, you should know the loop by now. Very good, and it works even better because with Kinnan, because you're able to do it with other cards as well that aren't necessarily mana positive cards. You can do that with like Mox Amber and Arcane Signet, because Arcane Signet taps for 2, and so you're able to it gives all of your really all of your rocks the ability to go through that loop. And also with Candelabra, you can do something, cast it, use mana to untap your lands, and then tap your lands, cast something to bounce Candelabra, and then do it even with anything on the deck. Candelabra activates you to be able to even do it if you have a high enough creature count with like Woodcolor Automaton, which is like 10 mana. It's like, oh, what the fuck? But pretty cool. Hullbreaker Horror enables you win lines. Hullbreaker Horror protects your win lines. It does everything you'd ever need. Next card. That's all. Promotide. 7 mana, 5 and 2 blue. Cannot be countered. You have no maximum hand size. And whenever an opponent casts a non-creature spell, draw a card. Discard 3 cards, exile them as a whole, return to the battle with tap on its out of control under the beginning of the next end step. Semi has protection with the exile it, the blink thing that it has. If you want to discard 3 cards, but it is a giant fish. It is a Mystic Remora on a big giant platter. It is a little bit better than Mystic Remora because you don't have to pay for it on every upkeep, but the chances are you aren't paying for Mystic Remora for 5, 6, 7 upkeeps in a row. Or what would that be? It'd be like exponential, so it'd be like 4 upkeeps in a row. Maybe you are. I don't know. But anyways, this is a very, very expensive Mystic Remora that you can flip off of it. You can get a flip off of, and then you just get value off of it. Very good card. Very good card. It's a good card. It's a good draw engine, especially when you're not casting it. You're just kind of going off of it. Exclamation. 4 in 3 green. Has trample, 5/5. Elemental creature, enchantment creature, elemental. If you tap a permanent for mana, it produces 3 times as much mana of that instead. This is a insane card. I've hit this a million times off my flips. It's almost like no matter what you do, if you have an exclamation on the battlefield, you're winning the game. Makes things tap for 3 times as much mana. That means if your Cradle taps for 5, your Cradle now taps for 15. All your flips are significantly cheaper because of this. Where normally you have a really hard time with a blue mana source because you're untapping Cradle for the green mana source. This blue mana source gives you 3 every time you tap your command tower. Command tower now taps for 3 blue, and then your Cradle taps for 15 green. I mean, it's even if you don't go on that turn to send it, the next turn you're definitely winning if you're not interact with. It's such a good card. You just keep going off. You find your untapper. An exclamation makes it to where you can win without Cradle. An exclamation, or even Kinnan. I don't know. There's a game where I had an exclamation out. Kinnan got countered, and then I cast my Basalt, and my Basalt would give me infinite colorless mana. I was able to go off from there because I drew a bunch of cards from Consecrated Sphinx or something like that. I don't know. An exclamation is just a disgusting card. There was a game where I had 5 exclamations out because I just kept hitting my clones, and I just kept copying in exclamation. So it was all my mana was tapping for 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, and then my Cradle was tapping for like 500 mana every time I tapped it, and my command tower was tapping for like 26 blue or something like that. It was an incredible amount, and it just won me the game. An exclamation is no joke, ever. A thing to note is that this is a replacement effect, so this applies first before the Kinnan does, because Kinnan is a triggered ability. So your Delighted Halfling is not tapping for 12 mana. It's tapping for 4 mana. Is that right? 2, 4, 6. It's not tapping. It's not tapping for 6 mana. It's tapping for only 4 mana, which is still like ridiculous. It doesn't apply before the triple happens. So yeah, card's really good. Palancron. This is another of your big boys. This is a great whale that's flying in a 4/5 and has an active ability that returns it to its hand. to the owner's hand. This is a win con in itself. If you have, you know, your mana open, if you have like 3 sources of blue, then this finds you infinite blue and green, because you're able to constantly return it to your hand and then recast it. Oh no, wait, no, it's not. I lied. You need a lot. You need like Nyx Bloom Ancient out, but Nyx Bloom Ancient, Palinchron, and something else. It gives you infinite mana. It works. It's somewhere there. I've never done it before, but it's there. But Palinchron is another one of your untappers. Better than Great Whale because of it has the activated ability and flying, if that matters. I'm getting in on people, but Palinchron's very, very good. Your ideal clone target if you flip and then you hit a clone. And then there is last card on my creature package, Woodcaller Automaton. Woodcaller Automaton is a 8/8. When Woodcaller Automaton enters the battlefield, if you cast it, untap target land you control, it becomes a tree folk creature. Becomes tree folk creature with haste and base power and toughness equal to Woodcaller Automaton's power and toughness. It's still a land. And then there's Prototype, do it for 2 and 2 green. If this is in hand, you go off with it. You use this, tap your Cradle for 4 to play your Woodcaller Automaton to make your Cradle count 6. You know, it adds it makes Cradle a creature, and it is a creature, and untaps it. So like, you know, it enables you to go off a lot of the time. This is usually that final push where it's like, okay, I have Cradle, I have this. Oh, I drew Woodcaller Automaton. Now let's cast it, and then my Cradle taps for more mana, and then we'll start going off. Pretty good card. Pretty good card. You're never casting it for 10 mana, by the way. You're never hitting it for 8/8. But maybe. Who knows? There is Green Sun Zenith. Green Sun Zenith is here mainly as a way to find your Thasios. As a way to find your Enduring Vitality. Also just find your cards that are really high value. And also it's part of the Fairy Mastermind win line. It's decent here. I don't think it's like super great. I think I have to run it if I want to run the Fairy Mastermind loop, since I'm not on if I want to run the Fairy Mastermind loop, I have to be on Green Sun Zenith. So Green Sun Zenith is in the deck for that reason. Mainly, it can find you all of your things, your Seaborn Muse or your Enduring Vitalities. But I think the card's pretty mid in the deck. I think it's a really great card in general. I think it's pretty mid in the deck, especially because I'm not on Arbor Elf, so it doesn't. Green Sun Zenith doesn't essentially work as a mana dork, which I could think about going on Arbor Elf. There are so many other lands that I'd rather be on than Arbor Elf, so I am on Arbor Elf. Maybe I'll take it off for a forest and just run Arbor. Either way, currently I'm not on Arbor Elf. That might change because I'm kind of convincing myself that's a good idea right now, so that it can just be a mana dork. Cast Green Sun Zenith. Actually, go 0. Find Arbor Elf. Mana dork. Finale Devastation. This is a tutor. And this is also your win con. I am, if you didn't notice, I am not on Eternal Witness. And so if you use your Finale of Devastation, that is no longer a win line for us. We don't have a way to put it back in our deck. I'm not on Endurance. I'm not on Eternal Witness. Eternal Witness just isn't. I'm not able to flip into it. And I don't think it's really what I want to do for my game plan. Most of the time that I'm not tuning for creatures anyways, unless I really need to find my Cloud of Fairies to start going off. Most of the time I'm not tuning for anything anyways. So this is just a win con, pretty strictly a win con. But if you really need to, it's a tutor. Hidden Strings. Hidden Strings is sorcery. You may tap or untap target permanent. Then you may tap or untap another target permanent. And then Cipher. Cipher says you can put this on a creature, exiled under a creature, and then whenever it attacks, you may cast this spell. Good on Tapper. It's I think that Hidden Strings will be leaving my deck list here pretty soon. I think that again with I talked about it before about Displace Kitten. It's the same thing where like I'm not really casting a lot of non-creature spells. Um, because I don't have a lot of card draw in my deck. If I have more card draw, then I think Hidden Strings is an extremely good card. Because I'm not on a lot of card draw, and most of the time I'm winning with like 0 or 2 cards in hand at most. I'm using activated abilities all the time. A chance where I'm not seeing this card, and I don't get to cast it. It's kind of just a dead card in hand. It's something that I see when I flip it, and I don't want to see it when I flip it. So I think this card is going to be going away here pretty soon. Nature's Rhythm. Nature's Rhythm is the Finale of Devastation that you can use, or that you can actually. It's not Finale. It's it doesn't do the actual make your things infinitely big part, but this is your tutor. This is your main tutor to go find your Cloud of Fairies, because this does not have to be only green creatures like Green Suns does. Nature's Rhythm will find you your Cloud of Fairies. Nature's Rhythm will find you your Peregrine Drake, your Seedborn Muse. Also, whenever you're really going off, after say you use your Nature's Rhythm to cast Cloud of Fairies, you flip into a Palinchron, right? And then you're really worried about not hitting something ever again, and so you're able. Then this is in the yard. You're able to then harmonize with your Palinchron, which costs 4 mana, or like your Woodclaw Automaton that came on the battlefield. With your 8, harmonize 8, which is everything in your deck. This will find you anything that you want. Once it's in the graveyard, if somebody wheels, if somebody does something, usually if you're casting this, people don't really want you to tutor. They'll be like, "Oh, hey, what are you tutoring for?" And then they want to counter it, but then they know that the Harmonize is still there from the graveyard, and so it puts them in a really weird position. I think this card's really good. I think this card's probably the best tutor in green. It's probably why it's one of the 3 that I'm on right now, because I think this card's disgustingly good. Here we go into ways to find Cradle. Of course, we have our Sowing Macro Spawn. Here's Sylvan Scrying. You probably know this card. For 1 in the green, search library for a land card, reveal it, put it in your hand, shuffle your library. The thing that really kind of sucks about this is that this is not put onto the battlefield. It is just put into your hand. So then if you already did your land drop for turn, you then have Cradle in hand, and then you have to wait till the next turn to play it, which could bite you in the butt, because sometimes they'll then get wheeled, and then you're just kind of, sucks. You're playing for the next Exclamation. You're playing for the other ways to find infinite mana in the deck, instead of going for the Cradle Storm plan. But Sylvan Scrying is really good. Sylvan Scrying is probably 80%, 90%. It feels like, at least, of the time when I'm using to go find my Cradle, because it reveal my hand, shuffle library. It's very easy to do this. Like, say turn 1, you cast a land and a Mox, and then you cast Kinnan, and then turn 2, you can Sylvan Scrying to go find your Cradle and play Cradle, and then it taps for more mana, and then you set up even more. Card's really good. It's really cheap. It's really cheap is what's the really good part about it, even though it's not on the battlefield. You typically, things with this effect, if you wanted to enter the battlefield, you have to cast it for 2 more mana. So it's really good for what it is. Like, Sowing Macro Spawn's 4 mana. Reap and Sow, which is the next one we're going to talk about, is a sorcery. That's 3 and a green. Choose 1, destroy target land, and search library for a land card, put it into play, then shuffle. This is awesome. This makes it to where you can find your land card that you need. You'll find your Cradle it'll come into play. So then there are times where you just have 4 creatures out. So this will essentially pay for itself, and that's awesome. You love when that happens. You can entwine 2 to choose both if you pay the entwine cost, which will destroy an enemy's land. And you'll find your land. This is a really good card. There's a lot of times where you want this card because um, you want this card or one of the other things that put it in the battlefield, because there are times where you keep one in your starting hand and then you draw another one and then you're going off and you flip into Boar Breeze Caller and then you have the Cradle count to be able to do it, and so you'll and then you have like the the Reap and Sow in hand, or the one of the other land finders in hand that's not so inscribed because that just puts in your hand, and you'll find your talent gates and then you're able to go off with the talent gates there. Or a new addition that I'm going to add here in a second. It's not in here yet, but is Treasure Vault. Once you find your infinite, green mana or something like that, your infinite colorless mana, use 1 green, and then you find your Treasure Vault, and then you have infinite treasures to then use for whatever the hell you want. Really good card. Really good card. Reap it so, I think, at least. If you're against, other Cradle players, this is destroying their gameplay entirely. I don't know if they're on it, but I think it's really good. Time of Discovery. Search the library, 3 and a green. Search the library for a land card and put it on the battlefield. Each opponent may search their library for a land card and put it on the battlefield. For each opponent who searches their library this way, search your library for a land card and put it on the battlefield. Then each player who searched the library this way shuffles. This card's really good. This card's a really big bait card for other Cradle decks. It is essentially the same thing as Sowing Michael Spawn, where you go ahead and find your Cradle. On the other hand, if you are playing against really, really, really greedy players, which it'll never happen, basically, whenever you're playing in tournament or anything, or playing at all, unless you are against the greediest Rock Thrash player ever, you will find your Cradle, and then everybody else will decline to search their library. But in the case that they do, you find your Cradle, and then they end up searching their library to find their Cradle. So then you're able to search your library because they search their library, and you find your Deserted Temple. And then you're able to, now you have Cradle and a way to untap Cradle for even more mana. It's really dumb if they do decide to search the library, but if not, it's you can always be like, oh, it's always an option. You can take it if you want. They'll never take it, ever. Here we are to the instances. Around 13 instances. Aggregation. A lot of this is just some like a interaction package, pretty standard. It's kind of small, I guess. It's pretty small, but you're on a decent amount. You're on Pact Negation. Pact Negation, obviously. Chain of Vapor, bounce something. Crop rotation is mainly to find Cradle, but in the case that you have it in hand and you need to interact with something and face something out, you're able to crop rot one of your lands and go find your Talent Gates. And Talent Gates will face something out. It's I count it as interaction. It's mainly a way to find Cradle, but I will always count crop rotation as interaction. Flusterstorm. Flusterstorm is one of the best counter spells in the entire game. Especially with those really big stack wars and everything. Typically, people tap out whenever they're sending it, and so Flusterstorm, depending on how many things they cast that turn, you're just able to, really stop them right there. Best counter spell in the format, I think. Misstep, it's Misstep, free interaction for a 1-drop. Dramatic Reversal. This is another one that I really like this card. I think this card is really good in Kinnan decks because everything taps for mana in Kinnan. Dramatic Reversal is a card that if I see, I'm pretty happy about, but like I don't see it too often, and it's probably won me like 2 games, probably. Has been the deciding factor of whether I get there or not. The thing is though is same thing with Hidden Strings, where I think this is definitely better. I mean, insanely better than Hidden Strings. In some ways, I guess I was on Tap Cradle, but I'm not seeing this card. I'm really not seeing this card ever. if you have it in hand, you're able to uh, trick somebody into having everything on the stack, and like there was a big stack war, somebody's going for the win. Everybody passed priority, and then you're sitting there with a dramatic reversal in hand. You cast dramatic reversal, you flip Kinnan, and then you're like, guys, I won on the stack. What do you know? Um, Other than that, like it'll get you there. It'll untap all of your creatures, which your five mana dorks or your mana rocks grants you a lot of mana that you need. Snap, snap, very good card. Uh, I also count this as interaction. I will never use it as interaction. There's a chance I'm using it as interaction, but I don't count it as interaction. Return target creature card to its owner's hand on top of the 2 lands. This is another Cradle untapper, and also on a awesome note is maybe it should be on Ewit. I think Ewit Snap is really good. Really good combo. Just in case. Um, it's doubles because like you're able to cast Snap, untap Cradle in a blue source, put your Cloud of Fairies back to hand, cast Cloud of Fairies, and then tap Cradle, uh, and then untap your, Cradle and blue source again. So you're just making a ton of green mana while you're doing this. Very good card. Lets you one of the stacks as well, where you're like, okay, I'm tapped out. You have two mana left over, and then on somebody else's turn, you're able to snap something back to hand. It resolves. You untap 2 lands. You flip it, and then you try to get there again. It's a really good card. I like Snap a lot. Archdruid's Charm, instant for 3 green. 3 green. Sometimes it's hard to get to. This is the only instant that finds me Cradle. That's not crop rotation. That's not a 2 or a 4, but it is instant for finding it. So it's really good because you're able to kind of keep it up your mana, and then on somebody's end step, cast Archdruid's Charm to go find your Cradle. It says choose one instant for 3 green. Search your library for a creature or land card and reveal it. Put it on the battlefield tapped. If it's a land card, otherwise put it into your hand then shuffle. This finds you creatures. This finds you if you already have Cradle. This finds you. This lets you put your Palancron in your hand. It lets you put your untappers into your hand. It lets you put your clones back in your hand. It lets you put Cradle in your hand whenever you're finding Cradle early on in the game. And then on the other hand, like it'll say exile target artifact or enchantment. This is also interaction. Just in case. I mean, I don't know why you have 3 mana up on somebody else's turn. 3 green mana up on somebody else's turn. But this will exile their Underworld Breach if they don't have protection in the yard already. So that situation where they have like a Practication in yard, and then they cast their breach, and then it's too late once it already hits the battlefield. But in the case that it doesn't, you're able to get rid of it. You're able to get rid of your their, I don't know, Mystic Study if you really care about it that much. There's very, very rare chances that you actually care about it that much. But in the case you do, Archdruid's Charm's there. Get rid of enchantments. Get rid of artifacts. Lets you, if there's a Kinnan, another Kinnan going off, and they have Basalt Monolith, and everybody's like, oh, I don't have interaction. Whenever they go to activate the untap ability of Basalt Monolith, this is where you cast your Archdruid's Charm, and then you destroy their artifact. Card's really good. Card's very versatile. It's kind of hard to cast for 3 green, but it will find you Cradle. Put on the battlefield tapped, unfortunately, and that's kind of the thing where we were like, okay, you can put it in your hand for 2 mana, or you can put it on the battlefield untapped for 4 mana, and then Archdruid's Charm's that kind of in between spot where you can put it on the battlefield, but it comes in tapped. Which can really bite you in the butt sometimes, but I think just finding Cradle is good no matter what, and then having it also as interaction whenever you need it, pretty good. Court of Calling. You're going off. You're going crazy. Court of Calling's in hand. You need to find Thrasios. This will shortcut you there. I guess that kind of makes it a win more card, but there are a lot of times where like you kind of don't know where to go, and you have have something in hand. You'll have a Court of Calling in hand, and then this will find you the piece that you need because you can just convoke it. to go find X creature. This card gets you there a lot. Um, it being instant is really good. Able to keep, so like if you have it in hand and for some reason you don't want to send it quite yet, and you have your Court Calling in hand because you know another player's interaction. Wait for somebody else, put a win on the stack. They use their interaction. You put a Court Calling on top to go find your untapper to go win the game because you missed a flip or you got stopped somewhere between the last time you sent it. Card's really good. Card's really good. I think it's also I don't know about the first or second. I think Nature's Rhythm and Court Calling are both tied for the best green tutor because they don't find things that are just green like Greens and Zenith. I think in other decks, Greens and Zenith has its place, a lot more solidified of a place. But I think Court Calling and Nature's Rhythm is probably number 1 or 2 for green tutors. More interaction, Fierce Guardianship. Have your commander out. You will basically from turn 2, if not turn 1 onwards, we'll have Fierce Guardianship active to cast for free because Kinnan should be on the board by those points. Always. Good card. Good card, great card. Kind of non-creature spell. Interaction. Force Negation. Interaction. You are on a decent bit of blue spells, if you can see. All creatures, sure. Kind of sucks to exile your, Clever Impersonator or something, or your High-Fi Trickster, but you're on a lot of blue spells. We're on a lot of blue spells to exile to Force Negation. Same thing with Force of Will over here, and then MBT is a it's the second best, I think, piece of interaction in the game because those pesky new Hexen Cultures you don't actually care about, and they just exile off the stack. Say fuck you, Hexen Sculpture. Yep. On artifacts, it's just fast mana. It's nothing special. You've seen all this before. Chrome Mox, Lotus Petal, Mox Amber. The only thing extra, I guess you can say, is Candelabra Talnos. I've cut this card. I put the card back in. I don't know how to feel about it still because it is not a creature. I cannot flip into it. So unless it's in my starting hand or I draw it naturally through my other 3 cards, chances are I'm not casting. I'm not seeing this card. I'm not casting it. It just kind of sits there and is an extra card to muddle my flips. I really don't know how to feel about this card. I think this card is really good in other decks, other like Thrasios decks, like disgustingly good in other Thrasios decks. I think in this deck it's a little hard. And if you're wondering why I'm not on the other things that are like Candelabra of Talnos, not Candelabra Talnos, Magus of the Candelabra, it's because that when it hits the battlefield, I don't have that extra turn to wait around to start going off. I have to go off as soon as I'm able to. That's what this deck does. What this deck does best. Even if it misses, I usually get some value out of it, or a lot of value out of it, and I'm able to send it again the next turn. So things like that are too slow. And then Candelabra of Talnos, yeah, like Formidable Speaker 2 is another untapper, but like it just feels bad because I have to wait another turn to get the value out of it. I don't have that kind of time. Candelabra Talnos, it will do everything I need it to do on the turn that I play it, but chances are I'm not drawing it to play it, which feels really bad. It's really good. I think this card's really good, but I think this card's I'm really on the fence on this deck. I think it's okay. Expedition Map. Expedition Map is another Cradle Finder. It is for 3 mana. It is all for colorless mana. This is really good. This is it's if it's in your starting hand, you're really happy to see it. This card's disgusting. Put it in your hand. It is a put to hand, but for colorless mana and not having to like fix your mana to 3 green. It's 3 colorless, and it's very flexible with its mana for being able to crack it and do the things. And of course, it is the hand, which kind of feels bad because Seal and Scrying is put it in your hand for a sorcery and for 2 mana. This is 3 mana. I don't know. I think it's pretty good to like play. It's even good enough to like play a land, Expedition Map, play another land, and then crack it. like or a land dork, tap 2, crack expedition map, play grab Cradle, play Cradle, and then kind of go from there. But it's I think this card's good. I think this card's really good. Mana Vault, another thing where it's like it's fast mana. Uh, it helps me get to my first Kinnan flip if I see it. If not, then this card's kind of baloney, you know. Uh, helps me get there. Helps me do all my setup stuff. Where like I'm casting my Arcane Signet, I'm casting my Soul Ring, casting any of my artifacts. Um, it helps me get there, but at the same time, it's not flippable. I'm not able to flip into it, um, and it's one-time use. I have a big problem, and I don't like things that are one-time use, but that aren't like permanent value. But I think Mana Vault is kind of an exception. I think his card's fine. His card's good in the deck. Same with Soul Ring. Soul Ring same. Soul Ring's very good. It untaps on your turns. This is why I like Soul Ring. Soul Ring's good. Mana Vault doesn't untap during your turns. You actually take 1 damage every time. So it helps you set up, but I don't know. Obviously, Mana Vault's staying in the deck because it's just a staple card. It should be in every deck. Yeah, whatever. I'll talk more about that later, I guess. Soul Ring. Yep. You already know Soul Ring. In every deck. Staple. Spring Leaf Drum. Tap untap creature. This lets you tap Kinnan for 2 mana. Very good. Arcane Signet. Fellware Stone. Simic Signet. It's one of those cards where like, why are you running a Signet? It's because Kinnan makes you tap this for 1 mana to get 3 mana. It's pretty good. Talisman of Curiosity. Basalt Monolith, obviously. With Kinnan out, or with Nyx Ancient out, you're able to make infinite colorless mana. Tap it for 4 mana, untap for 3 mana. Tap it for 4 mana, untap for 3 mana. Or with Nyx Ancient, tap it for 9 mana. Try to untap Basalt Monolith for 3 mana. At that point, it's really hard to interact with once you have the Exclamation out, because it's like you have 3 times to try to untap it before it actually like will get destroyed. They put a Passage on the stack. You put an untap trigger on the stack again. Pretty good. Mirage Mirror. This is a recent ad as well. Mirage Mirror is very good. Very good in Kinnan because it lets you come in as a copy of Smothering Tithe, and I think that may not warrant it for the deck, but it's also an infinite mana outlet. It's an infinite mana outlet not on a creature, but like it's very few times that I make infinite colorless mana or infinite mana of only 1 color. But this is an outlet for those like certain situations that I'm in. It's also just a clone for somebody has a Smothering Tithe. If they have Smothering Tithe out, you're able to copy it. And then at that point, if somebody draws more than 1 card a turn, it's paying for itself. If people are drawing their card return, you're essentially just casting 2 mana to make it a tithe, and then you get your treasure back. So it's neutral at minimum, and it's positive at best. Yeah, I mean, if the positive at best, you have a lot that you can do at best. If not, then you can have it come in as like say you have your Mirage Mirror out, and then there's a Cloud of Fairies out, and somebody tries to kill your Cloud of Fairies, and then you're able to make your Mirage Mirror a Cloud of Fairies, and then you flip again, and then you have a clone target again, It's good for that case. It's good for the case of if you have Displacerkin, have 2 Displacerkins then. You're able to untap 2 things. Have become a Hullbreaker Horror. And then you have 2 Hullbreaker Horror, so you're able to, while you're doing your infinite mana bounce stuff, you're able to bounce everybody else's things to their hands, so they're not able to play the game anymore. You're able to make it a Nyx Ancient for 2 mana, and all of a sudden, suddenly your things are making 9 times as much mana as it was, I think it's really good. I think you can have it come in as a whole. I mean, there's so many things, so many options that you have in the deck, in your deck alone, let alone other people's decks that you can copy. You have it become a Ristic study if there's like if you know players are about to go off like crazy. So you can draw your interactions, so you can or your dramatic verses, so you can try to win on top or things like that. I think the deck's. I mean, I think Mirage Mirror is very very versatile, and it's also a potential win con if you have the infinite mana easy outlet to find infinite colored mana from colorless. I think the card's really good. Mirage Mirror is very very good. And then enchantments. This is kind of funny. Uh, Mystic Remora, obviously, it's a blue deck. You're gonna be a Mystic Remora. You're gonna be a Ristic Study. Those are like must adds for blue decks. Training Grounds. Active abilities of creatures you cost 2 less to activate. Will not reduce less than 1. This is very good. And there's been games where I have had Training Grounds out, and then I get my Biomancer's Familiar out, and then I'm flipping Kinnan for what is that? 3 mana. It's one, a blue and a green. It's a flip Kinnan, and then you're just like guaranteed winning the game because what the fuck? That's so cheap. You know? Cream of the Crop. On the other hand, I just took out another enchantment that I'm thinking about putting back in once I maybe put in Hardwood Storyteller, which may be troll, but I think it's kind of funny. There's Hardwood Storyteller, and then there is Lurking Predators. I think this card is very expensive. I think this card is very bad, but I like this card a lot. It's kind of like a pet card for me. I want to throw it back in the deck when our opponent casts a spell. Reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature card, put it in the battlefield. Otherwise, put a card in the bottom of your library. People see this card and they're like, "What the fuck does that do?" And then they read it and they're like, "Oh, okay, that's what that does. I'm gonna counterspell it." you know. Uh, I think this deck, if it resolves, it's first of all, it's so expensive. It is 6 mana. It is extremely extremely expensive, and it's very. So first of all, it's hard to cast. Second of all, whenever you do cast it, it's very hard to get to resolve because it's a Ristic Study, except better. It gets me my creatures to my battlefield, which I really really want, and then I can win on other people's turns because I have Lurking Predators triggers, and then I have my Kinnan flip because I flipped into a Cloud of Fairy, so I'm able to untap 2 things and put a Kinnan flip on the stack, and then they try to interact with the Kinnan flip and try to stop me from winning, and then I have a Lurking Predators trigger. Lurking Predators trigger triggers something else that gets me, like it just kind of like storms off. It's really cool. It's I think would pair really funnily with Heartwood Storyteller, because then you have this card out. If for some reason, if you have 9 mana and you're not sending it, you cast Lurking Predators and then Hardwood Storyteller, and then everybody else is having a big, giant, huge, massive stack war, and then you're sitting there flipping cards off the top of your deck, and then you just win off the top, and then like I don't know, I think it's very funny interaction. Um, I think it's a very very funny interaction. I'm thinking about like trying it out or testing it, uh, probably next week whenever they come in. Cream of the Crop is a new card. I saw it in Lorwyn. I didn't know this card existed before that. I saw it in Lorwyn, and I saw it in a couple. And I read it, and I was like, "This is a really, really, really strong for my Flip Kinning deck." It says enchantment. It's 1 in a green. Cream of the Crop. Whenever a creature comes into play under your control, you may look at the top X cards of your library, where X is that creature's power. If you do, put one of those cards on the top and the rest on the bottom. So and when you're flipping Kinnan, and then you flip into your Great Whale, you not only look at the top 5 cards to find your Great Whale, and then Great Whale ETBs. It's ETBs, untap your stuff, Cream of the Crop trigger, and then you scry 5, and then put 1 on the top, and then that can like guarantee your next flip. And if it doesn't guarantee your next flip, I mean, if you don't find cards that you really wanted to put on top, then you put all of them on the bottom because you know you didn't hit, and then you flip again, and then it's like a whole nother Kinnan flip. But you're able to like kind of stack your deck in a way with this card that's just ridiculous to me. I think if you it makes it makes so many things possible. I think this card is really good. Um, and then that's really it for my deck list. There's like a mana. There's like the land package where you're running your your Ottawa, you're on Beseju, you're on the Ancient Tomb. You're not on City of Traders because I don't think I need that. I don't even think I need colorless mana. I really need blue mana. It really sucks to cut something for Talon Gates because I wanted to run the combo, but it's less blue mana. I think I take this forest out, maybe throw it in for a Dried Arbor. Manamo, it's really good. It's a standout card, I guess. Obviously, you should be on it because it's a Cradle and Tapper, and then like Deserted Temple, it's Cradle and Tapper. Besides that, everything's really standard. There's no big standouts here. Besides, I guess if you want to count like all the weird lands like this, like a Waterlogged Grove, I have the Yavimaya, uh, which are all like pain lands. Tarnished Citadel has come in clutch a lot. I've even considered running Starting Town, but I don't think I should run Starting Town because if it's not turn 1 through 3, it's a dead card, and it really sucks. But I think that card's really good. It's not this deck. I'm not worried about more than just the two colors, but if I were, I'd probably put it on. Tarnished Citadel's really good. It hurts me a lot. I feel like I'm ad nauseing every time I play this card, but it'll get you there whenever you need it to. Um, I think this deck's really sick, and I really believe in the deck. I think that it is really cool. I kind of update my primer. Oh well, let's not look at this preview. I kind of update my primer in a way where like I did it by brew. 1.1 first brew. Notes. I have the notes of like how my games were going, how they felt, and then like card discussion. I had Galta in the deck. I had Thassa's Oracle in the deck. I still have Candelabra, and I have Dramatic Reversal. I'm still kind of iffy on these two cards, but Thassa's Oracle, obviously. Why am I in the deck? Why is it in the deck? I don't need another win con. Like I said, I'm running 2 win cons to already get there. Finale is good enough for a win, and Fairy Mastermind Green Suns after post combat is enough. I don't need the fastest Oracle in the deck. I didn't need Galta in the deck because chances are I didn't have big creatures on my hand because I'm mulling pretty aggressively to get my game plan started. Um, so I'd flip into Galta and then I have nothing to get off of it. I put in Prismite for a while. Sylvanas' Invoker and Allosaurus Shepherd. I think Prismite has potential to make it back in the deck. There's a lot of times where I'm flipping and I have like a metric fuck ton of green mana and I just don't have any blue mana to keep flipping and keep going. I think Prismite might make it back in the deck. We'll see though. But I make notes of everything that every change that I make in the deck, and I think that it would help me to not just write it out, but talk it out, like with this like video diary assessment kind of things. I think it's really good. I think it's really good. But I'm decently detailed in my primer about why I'm making changes, why I'm going over changes. Allosaurus, One Ring. I don't know why I was on One Ring. Invasion. I don't know why I was on Invasion. I put Tridover back in and then took it back out for Treasure Vault. I don't know. Glassbow Make was a huge card to put in. Quarter Calling was a decent card to put in. Think about taking Quarter Calling out as well. But this is the most recent one. Me saying that Waker Elemental, stuff like that. Right now, the deck list, I've just playing my friendly games and my local games, my stuff like that. The deck's been doing really good. I really believe in it. I think that it has a lot of potential to do really great things and be really great. I have a really good record on it right now. And it could be because it's just catching people off guard again. I haven't played this deck in a very long time. I put it back together recently. I have probably 10 games back on it. Not a whole lot, but I'm like 6-3 right now, which is like a really good record for it. I don't run into a lot of draws, um, but I'm like 6-3 on the deck, and the deck's felt really good ever since I got back on it. And I hopped off it because I got discouraged. I went to a local, and I got destroyed by like a Voja player, and then I just couldn't seem to find my strategy and like find the I think I was not mulling correctly. It's a huge factor. Um, but now that I'm relearning the list and I'm kind of innovating it again, kind of making tweaks and stuff to it again. I'm really excited to see how it goes. I think that this time around I'm a lot smarter of a player with mulligans and things like that. I'm a lot greedier with mulligans, which I think you kind of have to be in this list. But I'm making this video to try to put the list out there. Try to put it on the map. I don't know if I'm good enough to put it on the map and like really take it to like a decently big event and like top 16 or something. But if I can't do it, I'd really like somebody else to do it. And so I think the deck is really cool. I think it has a lot of potential. But there are like some nicks, crooks and nannies, whatever they call it. There's a lot of things I gotta fix about the deck before it actually gets to the point where I want it to be. But right now it feels really, really, really good. And I hope that maybe somebody else can push this deck list further. There's nobody in the Kinnan Discord that I saw that was like on anything similar of a deck list like this. So I just want to put it in people's brains. Maybe I'll see it at a pod. Anyways, I'm Gary Revis, and this has been my take on Kinnan deck list. I'll probably try to do these things semi regularly. If I really enjoy doing this, like a video discussion or like a audio discussion, maybe I'll do it weekly so I can report back because I play CDH twice a week, just playing casually with my buddies, and then in this like local league that I play on Mondays. And then I'm gonna try. I just got a recent change of job, so my weekends are a lot more open. I'm trying to get to tournaments, and then I can do like tournament report videos and stuff like that, so I can like have everything documented for myself. I really think that this deck can do things. I just gotta prove that it can and take it to tournaments and actually do it. Cool. Yeah. My name's Gary. Hopefully I get to play in a tournament soon. You guys get to see my name up there. But this is my deck list.